there dancing. Just a bunch of happy little... I don't know. Good evening, Riv here, and welcome back to Total War Warhammer 3. I decided to jump from the Kislev campaign, which I was going to do next, to the Nurgle campaign, based on the Legion of Chaos faction, and playing basically as a Nurgle kind of race. I thought it'd be a simple jump in, see the differences kind of campaign. There are quite a few differences. I find it's quite similar to Tzeentch in regards to the number of troops. You don't have a great deal of different troops in your faction, but they are all fairly unique. You can't compare Nurglings to the Toads. There are some similar things with the Plague Bearers and the Exalted Plague Bearers, but that comes down to troop availability, cost, and how quickly you can level up your faction buildings, and the rotation of the buildings. I'll get into that mechanic when we're in there. It's quite unique. I haven't seen any other faction have a building mechanic like that. And the plagues are cool and all that kind of stuff. So I won't waffle on too much. I'll jump in there and we'll just run through the mechanics of the Nurgle faction. See you there. Okay, so we're here on day 43 at the moment. You can see in the bottom right corner. I have two armies. Nurgle starts right here. You've got Tzeentch up here. Cathay. Tzeentch would be about here. Cathay's there. Scrag the Slaughterer is down around here. Khorne is over here somewhere. Legion of Chaos are up around there somewhere. So I will start with my... What are we going to start with? I will start with these abilities. So you got your Unholy Manifestations. Tzeentch had this as well, so maybe all the Chaos Demon factions will have it. I have unlocked a second one now, so Pestilent Growth. 2 turns locks you in place, gives you a 20% casualty replenishment rate, but you can't move for 2 turns. Blessing of Nurgle, chance of plague spreading plus 30%, campaign movement disabled, and it lasts for 3 turns. So have a small army, throw a plague on them, put them into an enemy province, and just let them infect everything. Growth plus 200, recruitment cost minus 20%. Random plague will be given to every settlement and army in this province upon completion, and campaign movement disabled for 3 turns. Yeah, that would be handy, particularly in a long campaign. You'd make use of those. The Plague Cauldron. Plague Cauldron is cool. You have to have, so you have to have a hero, a lord selected, and then you choose which plague you want to give them. At the moment, I don't have a plague. You would normally see it down here in the bottom left corner. I have just come back from the Khorne realm and I've picked up a chaos trait, so I need to build that building in one of my towns so I can get rid of it. It's control minus 10 and leadership aura minus 50%, so I'm not frothing at the bit to get rid of it, but I don't want to keep it around for any longer than possible. I do have some army abilities which I've picked up through the skill trees. I'll cover those in a second. But you click on the Plague Cauldron over here. When you start off, you have these 5 base plagues, and you've got no symptoms here and no recipes. Just by playing it, it might, yeah, there you go. Rot 25 times to unlock. Rot 5 on times. Okay, yeah, so I have mainly been using a pox, which is plus 5 infections. Infection is your currency to make these plagues, so a lot of your post-battle things, you can choose money, infections, and healing, casualty replenishment. So a lot of your events will have infections as an option to take as a reward. So I have picked up a few of these here. The last one is use Pox 50 times, and I've used it 48, so I'm about to unlock that one. It requires technology, so I've picked those ones up through the research tree. I've still got 2 of them left, and these 3 rows here you pick up by using the ability. Recipes, I haven't unlocked any of them yet. Okay, so you have to unlock the symptoms to unlock the recipe, so we've got any that's nearly done. So the bottom 2 are nearly done. We need constant vomiting and acrid flatulence. Constant vomiting. Summon a unit plague bearers, that would be a good one. Palsy 50 times to unlock. Plague effects, non-Nurgle. Minus 40% armor. That would be good against a faction like Dwarves, or any faction that relies heavily on armor. Alright, well now that we've just figured out how to actually unlock these, I definitely want to be using that to unlock that one, and then I'm going to switch over to using these 2 to unlock these ones here to get those recipes. Let's see what the recipes do. The crumbling agua, whatever. Plague duration plus 5 turns, Nurgle corruption plus 4, chance of plague spreading plus 15, plague effects on Nurgle army. You get 100 XP per turn, and casualty replenishment plus 35. So these recipes are really good. So your basic plague, what you would do is you pick your base up here. So I'm going to use the plague box. And then I might decide to add in control plus 6, and for non-Nurgle settlements, control minus 6. You click on add. It does cost, so you can see they're all 50 from the looks of it. Yeah, so every symptom is plus 50. You can see your total up here and what your infection costs. And what else are we going to chuck in here? Total favor. I've been using that one a lot, just because every time you infect someone, you get 150 coins. I don't think I've gotten good value out of that, because I would generally only be infecting a couple of things in the duration of it. So I think the plague runs for 8 turns. I'm sure I read it somewhere. I think you see the duration when you've actually got one enabled. It'll tell you down here, it has a countdown of how many turns left, and I'm pretty sure it's 8 turns. So I think I'm going to switch over to the Plague Rot, because I want to unlock that Summon from Beyond, which will give me the Grim Shakes recipe. So yeah, I'm going to do that. To unlock that, I need Rot 50 times to unlock. Okay, so we're going to have to spam this one a few times. Probably put the plague duration on. And the chance of it spreading, just so we can infect as much as possible. To infect the Lord with it, it costs another 25, or you can summon a Plague Cultist. As you see down there, it'll summon a hero that can be expended to spread the plague, much like the Skaven's, I can't remember what it was called, the hero that you would summon up and it would explode on a town. This looks to be the same kind of thing. So we'll just infect that. It has a 1-turn cooldown, and it's going to cost me 75 infections. Now you can pass this plague on to your own armies as well. When this guy came back from the Khorne realm, I had to trade some of the troops, which I'll cover the troop recruitment in a second. But the other hero, he had a plague on him as well, and then when they came close, they infected each other. So, and the plagues are all, they affect non-Nurgle units. So if you have ogre mercenaries, you might not want to be running around with plagues on you, because the ogre mercenaries will take damage pretty quickly, or whatever the effect happens to be for that plague. And they're not going to be getting the benefits as well. The town that I started at was Sunken Sewers, so I've taken this whole province, and you'll see here the structures. So we'll cover that now. I wasn't quite sure what to make of this when I first opened it up. It seemed quite strange, but the little tutorial blurb that came up was that Nurgle, plague, everything rots away. It grows to reach its full potential, then it rots, and then it starts up at the base level, and then it grows, and you can see here it automatically goes to tier 2 in 3 turns, then it goes to tier 3, then it goes to tier 4, then tier 5, then tier 6, and then it starts back here at tier 1. So you'll see the building, this one in particular, it gives you 30 income every turn. It allows you to summon a Plague Bearer of Nurgle. The second tier gives you the same troop type, but you get 60. Tier 3, same troop, but you get 90. When you unlock, so this was actually locked at, I think it was here, until you hit tier 3 on your main town, province capital. So it would get up to tier 4, and then it would come back down to tier 1. So this icon over here on the Rotfly Living Tree of Decay tree, that it will max out at that level, then it will come back down here to the start. So you get 3 turns of getting your standard Plague Bearers of Nurgle, then you get, so 3 lots of 3 turns, sorry. So 3 turns here, then 3 turns here, then 3 turns here, 3 turns here, and then back down here. So you're only getting 1 lot of 3 turns to recruit the Exalted Plague Bearer of Nurgle. The troop recruitment is similar to the Beastmen. You have a limited number of troops that you can recruit, but the number of troops refreshes every turn. So when you go into, so if I go in here, I can see I can have a maximum of 14 of these units here to recruit at a time. And I'm pretty sure it's every turn a new one is added to it. So next turn there should be 2 out of 14 here. 1, 2 out of 14, 1 out of 28. So the lower tier troops, there are more of them that you can have in reserve, ready to recruit straight away. You can see the Nurglings there, there's 16 out of 28 of them. But the higher tier ones, like the monster ones like this Beast of Nurgle, it caps out at 14 at most. So you can't create a new lord and then fill it out with a full army of 2 or 3 different types of troops, because you may not have the reserves there for them. But then you've also got to worry about the rotation. So if we go this troop type here, if I wanted these Forsaken of Nurgle, I can actually go all the way around now. I've reached the maximum tier here, which has allowed me to go all the way through. If I wanted these, I could only recruit them for 3 turns, 3 turns, and then for 2 lots of 4 turns actually. I'm not sure why that's showing turns until construction is complete. We're currently at tier 4, and in 2 turns we're going to tier 5. That, if you had 5,000, which I'm shy of, you might potentially be able to rebuild the structure. If you had just gone past here into here, but you needed more of those troops, and you had cash spare, you might be able to rebuild the building and start from scratch maybe. I don't know, I haven't tested that, I've just noticed it now. If you wanted to get Spawn of Nurgle and you were still down here, you'd have to wait those 3 turns to get to here, those 3 turns to get up to here, then you've got 4 turns here to recruit the Spawn of Nurgle, then it goes over here to another 4 turns, and then it comes down here to the Soul Grinder. So you have to be aware of the timing to get the troops that you want, because in some instances it may take several turns for you to be able to recruit that particular troop type again. So now that I've unlocked the full rotation here by getting to tier 3 in the settlement, if I want to get the just the standard plague bearers because they're cheaper, and I want just a trashy guardian army, or an army that I can send into a town to take it over, and I don't want to spend the extra money on the exalted plague bearers, but I've just gone into this building or beyond, I have to wait until it comes all the way back down to here to be able to build them. So that, I think what I'm going to do is end my turn now, just because that'll kick me back up over 5,000, and just see if that becomes an option to build, because I want to see what happens with that. So let me just finish up here, make sure I've done everything I need. Yeah, I've already done that, so I'm just going to end the turn. Okay, the turn's just come back up, and I do have a manifested cult. I'm going to build that. So plague cult colony, random plague will be given to this settlement. The cult is destroyed once the building is completed in 3 turns. That's 10 infections per turn when there's a lord present in the town. If that's a town that the enemy faction tends to have lords in all the time, then that might be handy. But this one over here is just a constant 5 per turn, no matter who's there. So that's the one that I've used the 2 or 3 other times that I've already done this. And when your growth is more than 200, you get 10 infections per turn. So generally, that's what I pick up, just because it's a constant. You don't have to worry about whether there's a lord there or not. Okay, now back over here. But just before I build that, because I just noticed that it took away half my gold. Yes. I wonder if I... Okay, so clicking on that does nothing. It does have it as a cost. I'm not sure why. Okay, so that theory from 2 minutes ago is invalid. You can't rebuild this to restart the cycle. You have to go all the way through. There you go. That one's because we don't have any structure slots here to build it. But that one, yeah, clicking on it does nothing. So no, you can't rebuild it to restart the cycle. Cool. All right, let's go back to where we were. So plague bearers, basic troop, and exalted plague bearers, just slightly better than the other ones. They don't have any real bonus other than the small range attack. It only has 2 ammunition, so it's not. It's like the dwarven iron breakers with their satchel charges. It's just something that you can throw out as troops are charging in. It's only got 70 range as well, and the missile strength isn't huge, but it's just something that you can chuck out there. These guys, the Forsaken, are pretty decent. I think my main army's got 4 or 5 of them. They do hold pretty well. They don't have shields, which would probably be their only downfall, but a pretty solid unit overall. I haven't used these yet. I do have 2 in my my secondary army. Yeah, high leadership, almost no armor, some good weapon strength and health, a standard monster type unit. Soul Grind, I haven't got them yet. Toads, yes, toads are cool. They're not super fast, but they do hit fairly hard. You can send a unit or 2 into a couple of range troops, and it'll take them out with relative ease. But even harder hitting troops either melee troops or some light cavalry. They'll hold their own for quite a while. If you can get some other troops in there to help them out, it will be really good, but they should be able to hold out for a good while. I haven't gotten to the Prox Riders yet, but they do look pretty cool. Chaos Furies, I'm not a huge fan of them. They're fast. They don't tend to last very long, I find, when you send them into a couple of units of range troops. Unless the range troops don't target them at all, they tend to be pretty weak by the time that they get there. I am able to recruit rotflies now. In this building over here. Plague drones, haven't used them, but there is this one here, the Death's Head. Yeah, I'm not sure what they do. Probably just poison, armor piercing, poison attack. Just from the sounds of Death's Head, I would have thought something special, but no, it's just 7 ammunition, short range attack. So 40 armor is pretty good for a ranged troop. 90 speed is very good. 30 melee and 30 defense. 30 attack and defense is not too bad. It's actually a bit better than the Plague Toads. So they seem like they would be a good troop to go around the sides, take out ranged troops. The range, 125 missile strength. And being poison attack, they could be good for a few hit and run attacks on heroes and lords, but I probably wouldn't send them down there to focus on a lord. I think they would be wiped out. But certainly ranged troops. Now these guys. So first up, Nurglings. Nurglings are awesome, particularly when you zoom right in and you see them. They giggle and laugh. They are real characters. I quite enjoy having a bunch of them in my army. They're not expendable, but they just don't seem to die. Like, they always take heaps of damage, but they never seem to go away. And then when you pair them up with the legendary lord, the Nurglings do get a lot of buffs, so I'll show you that in a sec. So you can see there, like, there's no armor, leadership is not great, speed isn't fantastic, attack and defense is mediocre. They do have 8,500 health, and they're cheap. That's what they have going for them. Physical resistance of 20 is great. They cause fear. They have demonic instability, and the melee defense +9 for the Cloud of Flies. So Cloud of Flies, I've noticed Nurgle units have, is quite a decent defensive skill. It is passive, so you don't need to worry about activating it. All you need to do is be in melee combat, and it will be active. Once you get out of combat, it looks like it's 15 seconds before it'll re-enable. And recharges if engaged in melee. Yeah, so I would say once you get out of combat, you can't activate, you can't have it activate again for at least 15 seconds. And I did pick up Vanguard deployment for them. So Beasts of Nurgle. Beasts of Nurgle would probably be my favorite troop out of all the ones that I've tested. This would be Nurglings, the Chaos Furies, the Rotflies, the Cane Toads, Forsaken. I haven't played the Spawn of Nurgle yet, but I have some. Plague Bearers and Exalted Plague Bearers. They're not as funny to watch as the Nurglings are, but and they're not indestructible, but they seem like they are. I have 4 of the Forsaken in whenever I go into combat, I have 4 of them side by side, stretched out wide, and then I have a Beast of Nurgle behind each one. And basically, I just send them in. The Beast of Nurgle go through the Forsaken, and they just start whipping their hair around and just chomping on things. You can actually see the small head with the pink tentacles on the top of their head. Their stomach is a huge mouth, and I've zoomed in to watch them, and they actually eat. Some of the animations, they eat them. It's really cool to watch, and they just do a lot of damage. If it hadn't been for those in my army, I would have lost a few battles. So those guys, they do hold the line quite well. So they've got the demonic instability as well. Causes fear, physical resistance 20. They have a slime trail, which gives -5 to melee attack and -10% speed. It's a 15-meter range. They've got a wounds hex, which is always enabled once they're below 25% health. They have the Cloud of Flies as well. They also have regen. They're resilient, and they're a siege attacker. Just all-round tough unit. The only thing they're missing is a range attack. And even speed-wise, they get a speed of 40. They tend to get around quite comfortably. So they're only slightly slower than the Forsaken. The aerial troops, yeah, Furies, I'm not a fan. Rotflies, I think it must have been a Rotfly that I had at the start. No, it had range, so it must have been one of these guys. It only had a few shots, then it would engage in hand-to-hand, so yeah, it was cool. It just didn't last long enough. Probably more from my perspective, because I didn't really have the troops to back it up. So I just didn't use it wisely enough, and it ended up dying. Toads, yep, I'm a fan of them. They're cool. They have good animations. Just these big, fat cane toad looking things. They just jump into things and knock them down, hit them with their tongues and eat them. And yeah, I like them. Haven't seen them yet, but I'm looking forward to seeing them. These guys are quite useful. And their plague bearers are cool. They're a little slow. It takes them a while to get into combat. They don't have the staying power. They need support. They don't do a huge amount of damage. You can see their speed is 23, melee attack and defense 30 and 32. They do have poison attacks. Weapon strength is only 48, and 25 armor. Stats aren't brilliant, and that shows in their combat ability. They get in there, they do some stuff, but by the end of the fight, they're generally pretty low if you haven't been managing them effectively, which I'm not the best at these new factions. I still need a lot of still need a lot more time with them to build up some viable strategies. So they're your troop types. They start off at tier 1, they work their way around. You do have to maximize their tier to unlock some of the higher tier ones to unlock that rotation. So if you don't really want to get soul grinders, for example, you could keep the settlement tier lower just to quicken that regrowth cycle. But there are some research skills I'll show you in a minute that speed up this as well. Okay, so the support structures. We'll just start at the top tier one so you can see the maximum. So income generated, growth, garrison, and provides summonable units in your recruitment trees. Income generated 180, growth 10, Nurglings and spawn of Nurgle as your garrison. So Nurglings and plague bearers, Nurglings and spawn of Nurgle. This one's got a few more. Income 180, casualty replenishment 12%, Nurgle corruption in adjacent provinces, Nurgle corruption in that province, and Nurglings and plague bearers of Nurgle in your garrison. And last one, income generated 180, cycle time -2 for your basic military buildings. Your basic military buildings would be, my assumption, oh, there you go, right there. I was going to say the smaller circles rather than the bigger ones, but it says it at the bottom, so those ones there. they are getting when maxed out, -2 per cycle. So that's 5 turns on that one. You would have 3 turns on that one. That's 4, so it'd be 2, 2, 2, 2, 3, and then back down here. I think I have that structure somewhere. Yeah, over here. And they have their own cycle time as well. So cycle time -1 for the first 3 tiers, and that's not until you hit tier 4 that you get that cycle time -2. So there's a lot of rotation playing into the whole Nurgle theme of things starting out life, growing, dying, and then coming back to life and just constantly going through. Attrition 15, enemy hero success, and leadership +6 under siege. So I actually have all of them in this province and all of those in the province as well. The only thing I'm missing at the moment is this one, which is what I need. And I don't have any structures ready to level out yet, but that'll probably be this one over here. So in 3 turns, he'll have the 3rd point that he needs. Then I can build that. And then I can put that in as well. And yeah, my Nurgle corruption's 100. That builds up really quickly with Nurgle. More so than what I found the Tzeentch one did. Being that they're in a snow area, you can't really see the effects of Nurgle except for these things over here. The Tzeentch one had that purple tinge to the land. And you can kind of see over here where the snow breaks down that there's a green tinge. Alright, so let's get him out of that stance before I forget. Alright, so we have some troops to recruit. So this army, I'm pretty comfortable with it now. I do want to swap out the cane toads for some great unclean ones, or soul grinders, or maybe some of the plague drones at a later stage. But it's doing the job that I need at the moment, so depending on what I'm going up against, I'll stick these 4 beasts of Nurgle behind the 4 Forsaken. I'll have my hero butting up with the Exalted Plague Bearers. I'll stretch these Nurglings out into a as wide as possible line and just march them forward. And then I'll have Kugath. I don't know. Yeah, we'll go with Kugath, the Plague Father. We'll just call him the Plague Father. The Plague Father is also an artillery, so you can see the range that he has is 400. With the skills that I've picked up and the armor that I've equipped. He's got 75 armor, 90 leadership. He's only 28 speed, but he's got nearly 60 in melee attack and defense. His weapon strength is nearly 600. Charge bonus is only 17. He's got 22 ammunition, 400 range, and 258 poison missile strength. In watching him in combat, his range attacks are good, but they don't really seem to turn the tide of battle. I've not gotten to the end of a battle and thought, yeah, I'm really glad I had him sitting behind the back ranks, throwing out his range attacks, because I would have lost the battle otherwise. It's generally him getting into hand-to-hand combat and using his nearly 600 weapon strength to just eat enemies up. His range attack animation is pretty cool. He's got the same mouth in the stomach, and he reaches inside and pulls out this glowing green ball of I don't know what, and he throws it mortar style in a big lobbing arc, which is pretty cool. So that's it on the troops. The buildings, check out technology. So you obviously start here on the far left and work your way to the far right. So you have to unlock 4 research nodes over here to go up to the next level. You can see some of these diplomatic relations with Khorne and Slaanesh. +4 leadership for Nurglings. -1 cycle time for the Plague Flesh Poppy building. Armor piercing damage for Chaos Furies. Compared with what I'm up to over here. So there's quite a few research nodes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, well, that figures with the whole Plague Lord 7 other ways which Nurgle infects mortal. Blah, blah, blah. So here we're looking at unlocks the plague symptom festering, Nurgle corruption, physical resistance 5% for plague bearers and exalted plague bearers, growth +10 in settlements with temperate climate, double experience gains for units when fighting against Kislev, cycle time -1 for rancid allo buildings, Rot Glorious Rot, that's an army ability, so when you've got it, your general has this army ability on the side that you can chuck out. I think it has a limit. No, that one doesn't. And Rancid Visitations. So if we compare that with the top tier, we have Fleshy Abundance, that's a regen, preferred strain, growth 10 in settlements with mountain climates, fever incubation, cycle time -1 for demonic egg sacs, ammunition +100% for exalted plague bearers. What do they have? 2. How much ammo did they have? So they only had 2 anyway. So they would then have 4 shots with that. Eastern Melody, missile resistance when fighting against Cathay. Population surplus, 1 for newly captured settlements. That's not too bad. And population surplus for newly captured settlements. Okay, they're the exact same skill, but yeah, having both of them, you get a population surplus of 2 as soon as you capture something. So research is pretty decent with Nurgle. So let's have a look at the plague-ridden hero. Then we'll check out the legendary lord Kugath Plaguefather. Yep, that's all pretty standard. So the model is pretty cool. He's got the mouth stomach. He's got a diseased-looking weapon there. He's got the mutation thing hanging off the back. There are 2 mounts. I got the first mount somewhere. I think it was level 12. Level 15 is the next one. I wasn't going to get that. I was going to go straight for the Rotfly. But I was thinking that I would probably start using this guy more as a, not a frontline caster. He's still going to be mainly casting, but I just wanted to protect him a little bit, and I thought this might be providing some kind of bonus to his ground-based attack. So you can see his armor, it goes up, the melee defense goes up. I don't think his health went up though. Whereas the Rotfly, he lost armor, he lost health, gained a lot of speed, weapon strength and charge. But I just thought he would be better using this one. I do have another one of these heroes, and I'm going to be putting him towards the Rotfly and just going full casting. But this guy, he's reinforcing those exalted plague bearers, so I thought I'd chuck that one on him instead. So I've put the last couple of levels into thick skinned, then I go hard to hit, and then scarred veteran, blade shield, and so on. But just sort of buff him up a little bit to really support the ground troops while he's down there. All right, legendary lord. There's nothing really about him that jumps out as being really cool. There's no new shiny thing in there that makes you think, yeah, that's really cool. He's got the hate Tzeentch, so each of the Chaos Gods has a hate Tzeentch hates Nurgle, and yeah, Nurgle hates Tzeentch, missile resistance, and they also hate dwarves. These are the unique skills. This is just boost up his hand-to-hand combat, boost up his casting, boost up his troops, and the faster movement, looting, raiding, that kind of thing. All the standard stuff that you get in every other legendary lord. But yeah, we'll just go through the unique line here. So Nurgling Tide, summon a infested Nurglings which can self-destruct. There's 3 uses of them. Plague Shield gives your Nurglings an extra 5 melee defense. Champions of Decay unlocks hero recruitment, Plague Ridden for all provinces. Gives you an extra Plague Ridden and gives you 2 recruit rank for them faction-wide. Rotting Ways, and Nurgle Corruption in adjacent provinces, Nurgle Corruption in your province, and chance of plague spreading 50%. Picked up that one, and the Nurgling buff. Ammunition 15%. I was tempted to get that, but you can see he's got 22 ammunition now, and it only goes up to 25, and the range attacks aren't, they're a little bit underwhelming. Just from what I see out of them, I tend to find him more getting into hand-to-hand and getting into combat that way. Postulant Abundance, upkeep minus 25% for your Nurglings in the Lord's army. Recruitment cost minus 25% for all armies in the faction. Passive regen for Nurglings as well, which gives them the fire damage weakness. Plague Father's Oration, melee defense 24, leadership 16, in a 90-second cooldown, 26-second duration, 35-meter range. So somewhere that you're close by, drop that down to buff your troops up. Lord of Stench, minus 15% for Greater Unclean One units in all armies across the faction, and the Slime Trail skill as well for the Great Unclean Ones. Once I unlock that troop, I'd definitely be picking that up, as well as this one over here. So an extra 15 armor and 6 melee defense for the Great Unclean Ones and Soul Grinders. The model looks really cool. The big mouth in the stomach, the little cage with the Nurglings scattered all over the place, and also carrying his throne. I didn't notice that before. So that's about it in terms of the troops and the lords and the buildings. It's cool. It has the whole Nurgle rotting kind of theme to it, but it just seems like it needs to be fleshed out some more. It doesn't have a lot of troop types. If you have a look down here, that's 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So that's 14 troop types. That's not... It seems like a lot, but when you take into account you've got the Exalted Plague Bearers and the Plague Bearers, you've got these Plague Drones of Nurgle, Death's Head, Rot Flies. There's a little bit of doubling up with some of the troops that you wouldn't really use a Plague Bearer if you've got access and the reserves for the Exalted Plague Bearers. There's no real need to use a normal one unless you don't have the reserves to do it. And the Plague Flies, why would you keep using Plague Flies when you've got Plague Drones, and then when you've got access to the Plague Drones with a Death's Head range attack? Unless you're just after a cheap version of that particular unit. Yeah. I think Tzeentch was quite similar as well. It didn't have, in my opinion anyway, it didn't have enough variety in the troops compared to other races like the War II races, Bretonia, Empire, the Dwarves, Skaven. They all had lots of different troops. Here, you're not limited it sounds like I'm whinging a little bit, but you're a bit more restricted in the army formations, unless you're going to have a doom stack of Nurglings, or you couldn't have a doom stack of Nurglings even with all the buffs. Of the two chaos factions that I've played, Tzeentch and Nurgle, I think they both have similar issues in terms of the troop count. They need more variety to allow players to really experiment and come up with some strategies to compete against some of the old world, the Warhammer 2 factions, as well as the new ones like Cathay. Cathay has quite a lot of troop types. Ogre Kingdoms, I think they're in a similar boat. They don't have a great number of troop types either, but they are ogres after all. Nurgle, I'm sure they could come up with a whole bunch of disease-ridden units that they could throw in there and make Nurgle players rejoice. Tzeentch, Slaanesh has probably got a whole bunch of mutated beings of perverse nature that they can add to the game. Probably in a couple of months in some kind of free LC or DLC, we'll see some more troops coming through for these Chaos Gods. So anyway, that's enough of that. I think what we're going to do is grab a battle, see if we can get a big one or at least two quick ones. So I'm going to have a look around the map, see what's around, get a battle going, and I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so these are some of the events that you will get occasionally. It enables you to summon 4 Plague Bearers or 3 Plague Toads for recruitment in one of your towns, just to bolster those reserves that you have. I have plenty of Plague Bearers already, so I'm going to grab the Plague Toads. I don't need them yet, but... And we have lots of plagues going around. Alright, so let's take this out. Should not be too difficult. We'll fight it just so you can see the interaction and the animations of the troops. There's a nice back door up here that we can use, so I'll probably get the cane toads in the bushes over here. Chuck them in now. There we go. So don't have any troops in an area where you want to send in stealth attacks. Don't put any visible troops there, and the AI won't put any guard troops over there. I've done that on a number of battles now, and it's worked out quite well. You can get in with your fast troops right up there to the key building. I have noticed that the AI generally tends to leave their Lord and 1 or 2 units up there, since this is a pretty small fight, a small army we're going up against. They probably won't have much there. They'll just have the majority of the troops where my visible troops are. Alright, so I'll just set this up and I'll be back in a moment. Okay, so just before we get into battle, I'll just quickly show you these troops, the models and what they look like. So these are the little Nurglings. And that guy there, they actually form into shapes like that one was a humanoid shape. They're dancing. They make these wall stacks and they fall on top of them. Just a bunch of happy little... I don't know. They're just happy in their own filth. Yeah, they're cool. I like them. So these are the Exalted Plague Bearers. See, they got different mutations. He's got a little baby in there. All kinds of accessories. He's got double heads and the mouth. And then you got the hero up here. That's his little throne. What's it called? The Nurgle Planicon or something. Got the Nurglings underneath. And double stack with Nurglings. The animation is unnecessary for the game, like in regards to battle. You're never going to notice this much detail. It's just when you're doing things like this, getting up close and checking them out from battle distance. That's basically all you're seeing. You would, for me, this would probably be about as close as I would get to a unit model. And you can't really see any detail there other than the green swords on the green units down there and the green aura around here. You wouldn't know how he's moving. When I first saw it last night when I was playing it, I thought with the green haze it was just kind of floating around. I was sitting up about this kind of height, so yeah, him moving around over here. Oh, he's still not in combat yet. He moves around pretty quickly and it seemed like he was just sort of floating. But then when you get right down close, and you can see that there's 2 layers of Nurglings underneath there. Like, that's screenshot material. The level of quality animation that they're putting into these models is really cool. Unnecessary, but cool. And what do we got next? Yeah. Those ones. Nurglings. So the cane toads. Yeah, these gruesome looking things. And yeah, their animation is they hop like what you would expect a big toad to do. Okay, now we've got the Forsaken. See the armor on their mutations here with that fluoro green. That looks like the weapon is part of his arm, or it was a mouth that was grasping it, then overgrew to cover it. Yeah, a lot of detail on these models. And the Jabba the Hutt. Another happy little fella. I shudder to think what comes out of that. But yeah, he slides around like you would expect a big slug to do. Little tentacles on his head. Got the third eye, and he's got a little Nurgling. Just popped out of his chest there. Or
okay.
not sure why it's popping out of the chest. It's supposed to be coming out of the mouth. Yeah, another happy little model there, but I'm not sure why the Nurgling keeps popping out of his chest area. Maybe he's coming out from underneath the fat folds. Either way. Cool model, but only one boy left. And that's this big beast. He's quite majestic up there. He's got his little Nurgling fan club down here. Some Nurglings in the back, some in the cage, some up there. Various toxic materials in his pots. Those legs do not look healthy. He needs to get out and get some circulation in those limbs. Yeah, you compare the size, like the Forsaken here are dwarfed by the Beast of Nurgle here, who is in turn dwarfed by the Plague Father up here. And just the mount, you can't take him off that mount. That's his preferred mode of transport. So they're the units, the ones that I've got in this army anyway. Now what I've done is I've got the 4 Forsaken here with the 4 Beasts of Nurgle behind, backed up by Plague Father. I've got the Nurglings over here ready to rush in through this port. And I got these guys over here hidden. Unfortunately, you can't hide the hero, possibly because he's on the mount. There's probably no point even having him there. Just leave them up there, because they would see that the hero's down here, so they would put the troops over here. But the issue is having a majority of troops here and then some here. It's going to create a balance, a 50-50 balance that they would have. Whereas if I can have them over here as well, it'll probably keep the majority of them over here and then some troops over here and then hopefully nothing over there. That's the theory anyway. Let's jump into it. We'll just pause that and see where they've allocated their troops. Ogre Bulls, the Mournfang Cavalry, Noblars, nothing over here. We have free run straight up here. And the nearest troop they have are the Noblars there. And that's it. So yeah, if you're doing a siege, and particularly if it's an open map like this, so check the preview map when you go in, just before you go into combat, see what the map looks like, and if you've got quick access to send some fast cavalry units straight up to the key building there, you can take out this siege map pretty quickly, as long as you can defend it from any kind of troop rush back. You'll take it out with minimal troop loss. Where is their hero? Where's their lord? They don't have a lord because it's just a garrison. Okay.
Sly bearer, you place.
And then there. Let's just start shooting.
Done.
See the slime trail there? Yeah, that should be plenty of time for their armies to leave here. Send them up there to capture.
Putrid conqueror.
Send them in there. We will not be using that because it's a character-based skill. But we will send that through.
Stomping.
Exactly what you think it would be. Love the little Nurglings piling up and falling over, forming into humanoid form and attacking. Not doing a whole lot of anything other than just getting in their way. Oh, there you go, that's a new one. Rolled up into a ball and threw themselves. Plague bearers are doing their thing.
Infection is inevitable. The advantage is ours, children.
Yeah, it was not going to be a difficult fight, but was more just to get a look at them. We'll wrap this one up, and there is a quest battle that I've got, so I think I'm going to heal these troops up, and then I'm going to take them into the quest battle. I did try the quest battle last night before I went to bed, and the main portion of the battle, I was doing really well. No real issues, but then the reinforcements came through, and the reinforcements and the main body of the army, they just wiped me out. The army that I had was pretty basic then. I do have a much better army now, so I'm hoping when it's fully healed, I will have more chance of victory. Okay, so we're here in the quest battle. I do have a couple of banners here. We have the Banner of Eternal Flame, flaming attacks, base weapon damage +8. It's a constant 35 meter buff. I have put that onto the plague-ridden hero because he's going to be sitting right in the middle of all these guys. I had this gleaming pennant. It only gives a 4 bonus to leadership, but it's a constant and it's doing nothing else, so I chucked it on one of those guys. The Plague Father, I gave the Banner of Hellfire, allows him to throw out a direct damage spell, and the Standard of Chaos Glory, which gives a 10 leadership buff to anything within 35 meters for a constant duration, and that's going to be on the Forsaken, which are going to have the Forsaken and the Beast of Nurgle. We are going up against Dwarves, which have a lot of armor. We also have the Iron Drakes with their flaming attacks, the Thunderers and the Quarrelers, so they have a lot of range. If you go to Scout Terrain down here, which is very useful to do if you're not sure about it, click on that. It'll give you a preview of the map. So I'm starting here, they're starting here. Now when I did this battle before, it's a couple of minutes into the battle. They have reinforcements coming on either side, top and bottom. There's a grudge thrower and I think it's a cannon on either end with a couple of, I think they're warriors with great weapons. I think they are. And when I did this battle, I'd already committed all my troops right in here to the front line, and my toads were around the side here, and they were already in combat, so I couldn't easily pull them out to get to the artillery. Artillery just shot straight through the lines, and it very quickly turned the tide of battle. So, yeah, I'll be aware of that this time around, and hopefully do a little bit better than last time.
Slops are gravy, beggars crumb. Finger more, and skip that thumb. I crave what I crave, and that is dwarf and scum. I will have their hands and heads in my vice. So, best to infect them with fetid blood lies and experiment.
Okay, so I need to watch my flanks up here and up here. I only have the same two cane toads. I know they're not called cane toads, but in Australia we got cane toads, and that's what they remind me of. So yeah, I'm just going to get set up, and then I'll be back. Okay, now because it's a quest battle, I don't have a setup time. It's just gone straight into it. So I've left it paused while I get my setup in order. So Plague Father, I've got him on his own, and he's just going to stand here and lob attacks at probably the Iron Drakes. I want to whittle them down pretty quickly because those flaming attacks are nasty. And I want to move in just a little bit. You can see with Warhammer 3, you get the blue circle showing your radius. So I can see I'm not quite close enough to do the explosion. Nowhere near close enough for the breath attack. The buff. That might be handy for the troops that go into the front line. And if I can get that onto the Dwarf Lord there, then that would certainly help bring him down. I don't really need to worry about charge speed because they are dwarves, they're slow. But that might help to isolate the Lord a little bit. The Glorious Rot, that's one of the army abilities that you research. So to be able to use that, I need to be in combat for a while to fill this bar up based on the amount of damage that your units take. So they have to get 100 damage worth of 100 points of damage to be able to get the first one, and then that one should be another 100 points of damage to be able to cast that out. That one is going to be good because I can chuck it down in their front line there, cause damage, and it will spread to all units within 30 meters. So if I can keep them clumped up, I can put that down in the middle and affect all of them. These guys, they're going to come up over here. So it's the 3 exalted plague bearers with the plague ridden, and he's going to sit over here. And I'm going to bring them around to the side over here. I decided to keep the Forsaken and the Beast of Nurgle separate, and they're going to be slightly on an angle over here, and they're going to come in from that direction. Don't want to be too aggressive with my my vice kind of style. I want to go around the sides and sort of keep them boxed up, just to use those spells on them, particularly the breath weapon and that Glorious Rot. The Nurglings I'm sending up over here because as long as I can keep them out of the line of combat. When the artillery spawn in over here and the units, I can hold up the units with a couple of units, hold up the 2 or 3 dwarf units over here with some of these Nurglings, and then send the others around the side to get to the artillery and just hold them up temporarily. The beasts of Nurgle, I'm just sending them into the front, and they'll go in through the middle between the Forsaken and the Exalted Plague Bearers. And the toads, they're going to go over here, sit on the outside edge, and same thing when the artillery spawn in, they'll run around the dwarf warriors and get to those artillery just to take them out as quick as possible. They should be able to hold off against the dwarf warriors. The Nurglings, probably not, but they should be able to hold them up long enough that I can take out these. And yeah, let's see what we've got to go. We've got lots of breath weapons. We've got 23 winds of magic at the moment, so I am going to aim to get in the Plague Father and the hero as close as possible for that Lord, and chuck in both Rancid Viscerations straight on him, because I want to get him out of action as soon as possible. And then, depending on how they clump up, I'll chuck down that Blight Boil that I've got, or I'll use breath weapons, which I have on both. So, let's go.
Yes! Plague! Taliban! Swords weak! Plan good! Lugas assaulting! They die! Putrid! Conqueror!
Let's not just stand there in the fires. Might send them around there. Those wolves should be coming in soon.
Rot bag! Father! First! Infection is inevitable! Slaughter them!
I'm going to have to send them in. I'm just going to get eaten up over there. Nurglings, they're just in reserve. Let's move these up.
Superior position.
Okay. Now we can see them coming. I need to be able to get them around. They're giant slayers, actually. They will eat the toads up. Need to avoid them. Yeah, I'll send them up there. There's some more giant slayers. Alright, the Exalted Plague Bearers are doing pretty good against the Dwarf Warriors over here. I put my recharge on. The Dwarf Lord's going down. The Forsaken aren't doing too bad, but we need to get that Lord out of the way. Might bring him over there. Just put a couple of hits in on him. And these Forsaken will take out those guys, hopefully. Iron Breakers, that's going to be very problematic. You're going to eat those Forsaken up. Might send them down there in hopes that the Iron Breakers will charge after them. Just freeing up these guys to deal with the Iron Drakes. Okay.
Decimate them! The Pox Father!
Just ignore the toads.
Tugath, Plague Weaver!
Oh, some more reinforcements coming in over there. Yeah, get going. Just one unit for the time being. More dwarves are coming in. That's great. Yeah, what do we got? Don't get too close. Alright, now where can we chuck them down? Right there. Yeah, send him up there. They're following the toad still, which is not great. How my Nurglings going? They're just sitting there, looking their noses. Send them in. Gotta get those archers out.
It is done.
Yeah, the giant slayers have given up on the toads, which is good. I am going to send 2 of these guys back. Still kicking on.
Blade sword. Ready. Nurgle's command.
No, no, they're coming in. That's not good. Get them out of the way. Yeah, they're gonna follow. They're gonna follow him. All right, you get in there. Yeah, these guys are out. That guy killed you.
Tugath assaulting.
Right, now, let's put that right through there.
Tugath, Plague. Most
He's not fully healed.
my experiment succeeds.
Keep him out of action for a little bit. Slow them down. Alright, bring them in. Alright, battle is still not going well. Those went down quick to those giant slayers.
Unspeakable.
The beasts are literally
It is
beasts.
done.
Taking the long beards.
Die. Nurgles, come on.
Let's send him in for a little bit.
Slaughter them.
You get in there and clean them up. Okay, we're not doing too bad. It's still in our favour. But we are struggling a little bit here.
Swords ruling. Rot. Agile. Moving.
I'll clear them out. How much is that going to heal? Alright, pop that. Just to keep him up.
The perfect plague. Rot, child. At last,
Pretty much all of their ranged troops have run out of ammunition now. Get the Nurglings to hold them off.
Nurgle's pestilent ringmaster.
I think I want to do that. Oh, very nice. Okay, that looks like it's a victory.
Grandfather asks it. Born properth. Nurgle, I commands.
Yeah, so just getting rid of the Lord at the start was hugely beneficial. Then they had a general, I think a hero. You saw it briefly. I think it may be dead as well. It just gives you a really good morale bonus. Yeah, you should always be wanting to get rid of the enemy generals, just to get that that big morale hit.
Flame
These giant slayers don't want to give up. Better just watch them, because I don't want to lose my hero over there. Can I put that on myself? Yes. It's not very often you can get down low and watch the animations of the troops. Just in the thick of battle, you can't be so focused on one area that you forget about what's going on around you. But when you get into this stage, it's cool to be able to enjoy the animations. Can't wait to get my my dwarf armies going out against some of these new factions. There we go. Terrific victory. To be honest, I didn't have a lot of confidence going into it, just because I saw there were 2 waves of reinforcements that came through, and the last time I didn't even see the second wave. Just the artillery and the slayers that came through just caused too much damage. The Plague Father got taken out, and yeah, it all started falling apart pretty quickly. In saying that, I had a lot of troop casualties. I think I've lost 4 units. But with the hero having the 3 points into training, when I get replacements, they'll level up pretty quickly. I do have 300 infections, so I'm not too worried about that. Casualty replenishment, because I'm right next to a town and I've got to recruit, I don't think I'm going to worry about. And 900 gold's not a lot, so I'm going to go with the infections.
Shove them into my vats.
And now I get the necrotic missiles. Ammunition, increased number of projectiles, 10% bonus loot, extra 5 Nurgle corruption, cheaper recruitments, more melee attack and weapon strength. There you go, Kugath. Just said his own name. Alright, I think some points into here would be good, because I don't really feel that the range attack is worth it. But I'm going to go with that, because I'm going to be getting great unclean ones soon-ish. So I'll start putting points into that so they're ready. I think I'll be going hard to hit. Yes. So that's the end of the video. If you're seeing this, thank you for sticking around to see the whole thing. Let me know what you think of Nurgle. For myself, I think it needs to be fleshed out some more, as does Tzeentch, in regards to the troops. The troops that are there, I really liked them. The Nurglings are fantastic. Just from a like a cuteness perspective, just getting in close and listening to them laughing and carrying on is cool. The beasts of Nurgle, they are real beasts. They're fantastic. I haven't got a Soul Grinder yet, or the Great Unclean one, so I can't comment on them, or the Pox Riders. I haven't got a Pox Rider yet, but I'm hoping that they will be good. I think they just need more troops to give you more variety with your army composition. That's about all I've got to say on Nurgle. Thumbs up. Yeah, don't mind them, but I think they need some improvements. If you like the video, please drop a like. If you want to see more, subscribe to the channel. Next one is going to be Kislev, followed up by the remaining 2 Chaos factions, Khorne and Slaanesh. So keep an eye out for those, and I'll catch you in them. Take care.